Hi guys, welcome to the video of firsts. First for a few reasons. This is the first Dreming Spanish update I am doing, this 50-hour update. This is the first video I am uploading onto my channel, and this is also the first video I've ever recorded of myself in my life, so please bear with me. I have got a few notes to help guide me through the process of telling you how my journey has been so far. So I'll start with a little bit about myself. My name's Connor. I'm from Mansfield, near Nottingham, hence the Nottingham Forest jumper. And yeah, so languages is something that I've always been interested in. I was interested in languages at school. Never really got a grip of them though. I was always getting way too easily distracted and never really took it seriously. Let's fast forward to when I was about 24. I picked up German, which I was learning in school. I picked that up on Duolingo. Like I said, Duolingo, I learned a fair bit of it, but it was never something I really put into practice, and it never really developed into anything serious. So fast forward 6 more years, or 5 and a bit. May this year, 2024, I went to Barcelona for 5 nights. We just booked a hotel because we were doing activities in and around Barcelona. So in terms of food and getting drinks, and we relied on going to the supermarkets and to the shops. So communicating with the locals, and this is where I really noticed how ignorant us lot from the UK are when it comes to languages. You know, most people from around the world, they probably know 2, maybe 3 languages on average. I don't know, I probably just made that up. It certainly feels that way. But here in the UK, we just rely on everybody to speak English. So yeah, I really noticed, and I really felt quite ignorant. You know, I can remember one time I was in the supermarket, and I've got just to get a bit of fruit and some water for the hotel room. And I get to the till, and I'm wanting to pay, and this lady behind the till, she said something to me, which I now know was, "Would you like a bag?" I just looked at her and said, "Lo siento, no hablo español." I got that right, but that didn't help me, and I saw the look on her face. She looked frustrated. She looked tired. She must get it a lot. Yeah, and it really ran home for me how ignorant we can be as people when it comes to learning other languages. So I made a decision when I got home. I was going to learn Spanish. I finally took this decision on the 8th of June this year, and I downloaded app called Babbel. See, I went for Babbel because number one, you had to pay for it. I think it cost me like £70 for the year. And I wanted to pay for it because I wanted a better quality of language learning app to start with, but I also wanted that investment for my own accountability of turning up each and every day. So I did that. It's got loads of features. It's great. It runs through all the language learning modules. It's got grammar guides, conversation coaches, podcasts, and also 2 free lessons, which I will be using at some point. To coincide with Babbel, a friend from college told me when she was in Greece, she was learning Greek, she downloaded Disney Plus, and she used to watch films on Disney Plus in Greek so she could try and get used to the language. So I did the same thing with Spanish. Both of these apps together, I thought, yeah, that's going to give me a really good start. But I was struggling. I went at this for probably 2 months. And I used to get so disheartened when I would be recapping what I've learned, whether it was flashcards or whether it was listening or speaking tests, and I'd get so disheartened, and it's so unmotivational to keep failing and and you start to feel like you are incapable of learning this language. So I went to YouTube to try and look for other options to add to my arsenal of attack for this language. So I found a guy called Kuro Paul. He's a great guy, really cool channel. He does a series called Zero to Conversational. It's about 13 episodes, give or take. And he teaches Spanish in a way that I wish most people would teach on YouTube. It really got through to me. He went through verbs like poder, querer, hablar, and the ending changes. And he teaches for you to look for pattern changes within verbs. So that was really useful. By this point, I started to think that I might need to be practicing what I am talking. So For this, I went to Tandem. Tandem is a language partner app. I think I paid £20 for the year for a subscription. But if you are going to go to an app like that, if I was you, I'd stay on the free version, because once you find a partner that you get along with, you could just take their WhatsApp or the Telegram. That's what I did. I met a really cool guy named Rodo. He's from Venezuela. I took his number for his Telegram, and we used to speak over Telegram. Perfect. But all of this collectively, how was I getting on? Not well. Not well at all. I started to have a complete lack of motivation. I didn't feel like I was clever enough to learn this language. It was all way too much for me. To the point where I was starting to think that no matter how many times I try, I'm always going to end up quitting. So one day I was browsing through YouTube, trying to look for other ways to learn, when I came across Dreming Spanish. Excuse me. And I love the whole concept of Dreming Spanish. I love the idea of learning a language naturally, like you learn your mother tongue. You know, it's a comprehensible input. It's just purely listening. I enjoy the fact that there isn't even a super beginner difficulty level, because it simplifies it even more. When I was used to speak with Rodo on the other end of the telephone, and his English was quite good. Had he been practicing 2 weeks before or a week before on the build up to our conversation, his English was really good. So he would always start the conversation in Spanish to really try and encourage me to learn and to improve. And once he started talking, I didn't know what was being said. I was lost. He may as well have been speaking Mandarin. I would have had a better chance of understanding. That's how it felt at the time. And, you know, it would lead me to, luckily I was on the phone, but it would lead me to going bright red, you know. Luckily we was not video calling, thankfully. But yeah, that's how it left me. So I love the idea of really simple, comprehensible input to understand. So I spent a few days on the free version before I took the plunge, and I subscribed to the premium, which is about $7 or $8. I think it comes out about £6.19 out of my account, which is nothing for the amount of content you get. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I really do. So yeah. So now I'm going to talk you through what I've done to help give you guys a picture of how my journey has gone from 0 hours to 50 hours. I have written them in 10-hour blocks. So for the first it's 20 hours. Okay, so I did notice from 0 to 20 hours, I was trying to understand absolutely every word that was being said, which is crazy because, you know, I've not listened to a lot of Spanish. What I did have within my arsenal of within my knowledge, within my locker, in terms of Spanish vocabulary, was what I'd learned over the last 3 months with Babbel and with Kuropol and with a bit of Disney Plus. That's what I had. So in terms of verb conjugations and understanding what was being said, I had a little bit to go off, which I thought was beneficial. But now when I look back, I mean, at the minute now, when on my in terms of how many hours input I've got, I think I've got about 102, 103 hours. So as you can see, I'm trying to reflect back and understand how the beginning of my journey was. And from doing that, from this point, when I look back from the first 0 hours to the first 20, me trying to understand every single word had come from the fact that I probably knew quite a lot of vocabulary. I already knew a lot of the verb conjugations. So in a way, I kind of had a head start, which I think led me to trying to understand every single word. But that didn't benefit me because of how much it drained me. I had to actively listen. I do just want to say as well, I lose focus quite a lot within the first 50 hours. I still lose focus now, but I do have diagnosed ADHD, so that has probably got quite a lot to do with it. And the reason I'm saying that is because I want other people to know that if they, if this is something that they struggle with, losing focus, getting easily distracted by this, that, the other, a dog walking past the window, it's fine. I do it all the time. I'm actually getting so much better now at focusing. I notice when my mind's drifted off, it's thinking about crumpets, or it's thinking about work tomorrow, or I'm thinking about training, or I'm thinking about something my girlfriend said 6 months ago. It's fine. You will start to notice. Just notice, acknowledge it, bring your attention back. I do that all the time. So yeah. So moving on to the 20 to 30 hours, I noticed I would start saying random words and not necessarily understand the translation, but a lot of the time I did. So, for example, I would look at my shoes and think zapatos. Real quick. I couldn't believe it. It was really cool. Yeah, and also it was. By this point, I think I was doing about half an hour a day. So it was only half an hour, but it was helping me a lot. Some days I'd do more, some days I'd do less. In terms of the 30 to 40 hour mark, I started listening to the more difficult super beginner videos. So in case you guys don't know, I'm sure a lot of you do, but when you go onto the watch, when you're on the main homepage and you press watch, you have some filters above. You have the filter bar. If you filter them from easy to hard, or hard to easy, you will notice a number in the top right hand side. That's the difficulty level. So by this point, I had gone through the 30 to 40 hour mark input time. I had gone through the videos like twice, all of the videos, because I filter mine out to the Spanish filter. I tried not to look at the Argentinian or the Mexican or Colombian, because I wanted to learn Spain Spanish. That simple. So by this point, because I'd watched so many videos, I was going over them like, I think I was getting onto a third time. So as I mentioned before, I struggled to keep focus. So I really started to struggle to keep focus. So that's when I moved on to the series, and I thought to myself at this moment in time, what's more important? Is it more important for me to stay engaged and be watching content that I'm finding engaging and I'm finding fun and that's keeping my attention, or is it more important for me to be watching Spain Spanish? It's the first one, isn't it? Always. So yeah, so I did that, and you know what? I'm so glad I did that. It was such a good decision, because it is different. Don't get me wrong, but by the 30 to 40 hour mark, you start to be able to distinguish between Spain Spanish or Argentinian. You know, even the way they say yo soy in Argentina is different, or mi llamo, you know, for my name is. So yeah, you start to notice them differences, and I think them differences are good because it shows you how far you've come. If you're managing to distinguish between one culture and another by simply what they are saying, it shows that the comprehensible input method is working. At the end of the day, it's exposure, and by the 30 to 40 hours, it's not a lot of exposure in comparison to what you have to get to a native level, which is 1,500 hours. But you've been watching these videos over and over again, especially I had, this was the third time I was going over the Spain Spanish videos. So it was really good to see different content and to be able to move on and listen to other people speak. So yeah, by the 40 to 50 hour mark, I was definitely ready to move on to the beginner videos. Now, I think the guys at Dreming Spanish do a fantastic job. It is probably, for me, the best thing I've ever found in terms of language learning, content. But yeah, the super beginner difficulty level, there's not a lot of content in there. Unless you do what I didn't do, and that's be open to watching all of the content from the start, which, if I'm honest, is probably what I would have done. I want this to be an honest and genuine account of my experiences and my journey. So my advice to people just starting out is be open to watching all of the content that's on there. Probably from the 20-hour mark. Watch it from your target language for the first 20 hours, just so you can get used to hearing Spain Spanish or Mexican Spanish or Colombian Spanish or Venezuelan Spanish for the first 20 hours, and you then give yourself an opportunity to be able to distinguish between the differences. And then once you get onto the beginner, beginner difficulty level. Because that's 100 hours, you have a lot more time, and there is a lot more content for the beginners, for the people who are in the beginner stage of their comprehensible input than there is super beginner. So yeah, so that's what I've got written down. I mean, what I will say is, as I got to the 30 to 40 hour mark, I know I was starting to make improvements, because I even had a dream in Spanish. I think I was at an altar. I was at an altar and I was getting married. That's it. I was getting married, and um, the priest was Spanish, and I think I said, I just think it says, I said, "Hola, cómo estás?" And they said, "Sí, sí, muy bien." And it's, "You too?" And I said, "Estoy nervioso," because I was getting married. So, I had that dream and I thought, wow, that's amazing. And that was very early on. I've watched other updates, and some people don't have dreams up until like they're in the intermediate stage, whereas I had a dream very early on, and I've had a few more dreams since then. I will be doing another update. Like I said, right now I'm about 102, 103 hours in terms of how much input I have got, should I say. I will be doing another one at 150 hours. I also just want to say that I don't think I would learn a language another way now, because, and I know I'm very early on in the stage. I'm just finding it so natural. I can't put enough emphasis on that word. The word natural. It's a natural way to pick it up, and you can pick and choose as and when you want to do it, which is perfect. I started very early doors, about half an hour a day. I slowly worked my way up to an hour. Around the 30 to 40 hours mark, I worked my way up to an hour and a half and tried to push for 2. Now, if we're going to talk about how we manage your time, which I'm happy to, I get up real early in the morning. I get up at 5. I do what I've got to do. I train. I'm finished for 5:30, and then I get an hour's input from 5:30 to 6:30. I then have my breakfast and get ready to go to work. I work full time. I come back from work about 5 o'clock. I then do another hour's input. I mean, for me, it's real easy for me to get 2 hours, and that works for me. Any more than 2 hours, I start to lose focus. But I understand, that people have got busy lives. People have got kids. People can't always just get access and do Spanish and get their input from the drop of a hat, unlike the options that I have. But just find what works for you. 2 hours works for me. Sometimes I do less, and I don't beat myself up. I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just gone. Today is Tuesday, by the way. I did an hour on each day, and I don't beat myself up for it, because I'm doing something, and that's what matters. It all depends on your needs on the day. If you can get some more input, get some more input. If not, that's okay. But that's what works for me. Like I said, I will do another video, and that will probably be in a couple of months now. Maybe not even that. But thank you so much for watching. Please leave some comments. If any of you guys watching this video and you're local to me, let me know. That'd be cool. That'd be great. If anything I've said that you relate to or really resonates with you, please let me know in the comments or get in touch. And yeah, happy learning, guys. Take care. So, I just want to rewind about 5 or 5.5 minutes into the beginning of the video. I did touch on the fact that I deployed Tandem to try and find a language partner app. I managed to find a guy, his name is Rodo, and I just want to go into a little bit more detail as to where I'm at with that. We started conversations, we were speaking every week, and I was really struggling with the conversations. So I got to 50 hours, and I thought, once I started to trust the Dreming Spanish process and figure out that it is working and that it will work, I got in touch with Rodo and I said, mate, I really enjoy speaking to you, but I think right now it'd be best beneficial for me to put a hold on our conversations. His English was quite good. It is quite good. Whereas my Spanish wasn't so good. So my plan is, once I get to 600 hours-ish, I'm going to re-establish connection and communication with Rodo and hopefully redeploy our conversations again, because they were really, really good conversations. I genuinely got along with the guy. And from what I can tell, from what he said to me, he's had a few language partners in the past and they've either drifted off or, you know, the conversation hasn't been too great. It must be quite difficult to find a language partner. I don't know. It might depend on the person. Personally, me, I can make conversation with anybody, and I'm sure you guys can too. So that's my plan. I just wanted to be fully transparent on which path and which direction my journey is going and will be heading to help you guys in the future. So that's me. Once again, thanks for watching the video. Please leave any comments. I'd love to hear from you. Please get in touch and let me know how your journey's going. See you in the next update. 150 hours. Bye bye.